Okay, here we go. Let me pull everything up real fast. This is probably going to be a short one. I don't know. Probably would have waited a bit longer normally, but things happened. Let's get in here. Get the normal stuff. Then I'll put the Uno reverse card on screen while I wait a little bit. Over to live. Monetization on. Oh, wow, they actually did start demonetizing me. Awesome. I love not earning an income. Not earning an income is amazing. Oh, good. The AI remembered to mute me. Excellent. Live chat. Dismiss that. Go over here. We're barely going to need Google Earth, really, but we'll get it up anyways. Pull up Twitter. No, I'm not calling it X. Over here, and where's, oh, yeah, downloads, obviously. And let me chug some water and stare at the brilliant, uh, sparkly, rare, color-changing Uno reverse card. Let me see if Josh texted me back. No, although he might skip the texting and just show up in the chat instead. Not yet though. So for this sudden, legitimately kept secret and surprise to everyone, sudden event, there is a fitting soundtrack to it. So just YouTube Gundam 00 Counter Attack, and I can't play it unfortunately, obviously, because one, my stream isn't set up to transfer sound, and also I'd get a copyright strike. But yeah, Gundam 00, and it's this one, Counter Attack. It's very fitting because the scene it's from actually uh, a uh, a oppressive force sees something coming and attempts to organize itself against it, but really can't do anything in time because they were horrendously incompetent and completely doubted that the incoming force was capable of such a thing. So, it's kind of really, really fitting. But we got this whole reverse situation thing going on up here in Kursk. So while Russia has been throwing everything aimlessly into, grabbing one cornfield after another in Donetsk at the expense of thousands and then more thousands and then more thousands of lives and hundreds of what remaining quote unquote modern military vehicles they have. That particular factor will come in to play in this situation. You'll see when I show you some stuff. Uh, Ukraine did a really, really nice job of playing up the whole psyop of we don't really have enough dudes or stuff to do anything. As what they have had here has been enough to, keep this at this like really dragging pace of Russia getting like 1 square kilometer per week or something like that. And then all of a sudden, uh, at first it was assumed between a 3 to 4,000 force with like maybe 100 vehicles, but now whether added on afterwards or whether it was more to begin with, it's looking closer to twice that. Abruptly just punched into, oh no, sorry, up here. Abruptly just punched into the Kursk Oblast 3 days ago and has actually overtaken more ground in 3 days uh, than than the speed of the Kharkiv collapse or counteroffensive way back in the later part of 2022. It hasn't not the entire amount of land that the Kharkiv counteroffensive regained, but it is overrunning more at a faster pace and doing so within Russia. Where theoretically, were Russia an actual military superpower, that would be something that you would assume to be, not possible. But since I'm in meme mode, we have, a Gundam counter face punch moment going on here. So we go up here, and I'll show you the initial thing to begin with. Then we go. A lot of other, better people have more specific maps. So this is the general thing that is going on. Russia's efforts over the past, you know, 9+ months or so have managed to get them this like stubby twig branch thing that's protruding into some of Donetsk, along with this little bump right here, and this tiny I don't know if you guys can even see the mouse cursor or whatever, but this tiny little adjustment right there. This up here is Ukraine's punch into Kursk over the course of 3 days. So this blue is the parts that have been overrun. As of the last I updated this, which was a while back, things have changed in just a matter of hours. There's a long thrust out this way right now, actually. But as of when I drew this map, the blue is stuff that they have overrun completely. The yellow shading, zoom in a bit more so you can see specifics. The yellow shading is stuff that is permanently under fighting or not entirely confirmed to be overrun. But this was kind of fascinating to watch because if any of you guys remember at the very start of the war, a bunch of like Russian military channels before anything happened, like within 1 hour of Russia launching the invasion, a bunch of Russian like military Twitter accounts started posting. This is incredible. The Ukrainian military seems to have just disintegrated upon first contact. And then, since those were kind of pre-planned tweets and not actually reacting to anything, the that turned out to not actually be the case. It's kind of fascinating because this is a like full real Uno reverse situation because the Russian military, when Russia was invaded, apparently disintegrated upon contact because the border defenses like actually just surrendered en masse, and they're gonna have to go a long way down because there were a lot of updates. There actually are some videos down here of the actual Russian like border defense force just giving up and not really trying to fight. Here is one. Nope, don't start playing music. Don't you dare copyright strike me. But this was one area. Where's the other? Oh, those were strikes, explosions, strikes, explosions, excessive heat warning. What was that with? There's the downing. More stuff on Israel, Bangladesh, NOTAM stuff. Okay, that was Israel stuff. I think it was in the Quad post. Where's the Quad? All right, can we actually enlarge the stuff, please? Make sure you're muted. Right. There's an additional one. This was that is horrifically blurry, unfortunately, but yeah, this was a decent one. Where is that is a vehicle. Damn. Okay, I did not get the videos. Hold on. I will attempt something I'm not supposed to do, which is scrolling down a long, long way to get something. Meanwhile, did Josh show up yet? Josh has not showed up. Yeah, this was really, really unexpected, to say like the very least. This was a phenomenal job and example of attention redirecting. There's another one there. I don't know where each like individual one of these took place, like along the border. There is Cyrillic at the bottom, but I can only vaguely read Cyrillic when I'm really focusing and trying to, because I forgot it after like 15 years, and also like the only way I can read it is like I know what letters are what, but it's in either Russian or Ukrainian, so it's not like even knowing what the letters are, I can actually read the words. If I am focusing on it, I can read the letters, but it doesn't mean anything if I don't actually know what like the word means. But yeah, the border, like the actual guards on the border defenses just gave up like instantly, and then huge columns in like a complete reversal, huge columns of Ukrainian military equipment just started rolling right into Russia, and were stopped by no one really. No one honestly did anything, and they were kind of just like rolling down the highway, uh, you know, just having a grand old time. Is that okay? No, that's a recap thing. Where's the full thread? Where's the actual start of the thread? Where's the? I think yeah, that's another surrender group there. Where's the start of the thread? Uh, no, that's another recap. Where's the whole start of the thread? I need the start of day one's thread. Come on. Was that the start of it? No, that's just another individual thing. Come on, man. I need the start. There was so much. I need the start. I need where it began. Too much. Too much. Where does it begin? No, that's another recap, kind of. Is it? No. Okay, was that the start? Is this the start? Is it? No. Ugh, I'm trying to find the start of day one. No, that's from the airfield strike. That is other stuff. Other stuff. I can't find the start of day one. Where was the day one start? Come on, man. It's been two. Was this it? No. No. Come on. I know you started compacting it into threads eventually. Okay, this is starting to look like this was it. Was this like the very beginning of it, though? Maybe. All right. There's about 400 posts. So I am not going to try to like find the original origin of everything. But so they punched through here, And after the border guards just kind of gave up, they were just like rolling through, having a grand old time. And then they did actually, encounter some resistance in the form of two, count them, two. Okay, everyone put it down. We got two entire attack helicopters. One Ka 52 and one Mi 28 came and shot some missiles and destroyed a couple vehicles, and then they got shot down. And since then, there's been really nothing. There was one like bombing run that an Su-34 did, and like blew up some buildings in the middle of one of like the villages where they probably assumed some Ukrainian troops were. And like other than that, there's been nothing. Like in theory, Russia, this military superpower here, supposedly still has even just in Ka-52 attack helicopters. Russia, in theory, still has another like 50 of those, 60 of those. So you've had 3 days now, and they're not that far away because supposedly the rest are being kept like around here somewhere, very close to here to be used in Donbass occasionally, supposedly, even though they've kind of disappeared from the front lines. Uh, wouldn't really take that much, be like one or two hops at best to get them up here. So either, A, your military's too incompetent to get them up there, or B, you don't really have another 60 Ka-52s that you can use. And, I'm gonna call into some serious doubt those other numbers too of, these supposed like 100, 200 plus other, Hind attack helicopters that are supposedly able to be thrown wherever, whenever. And, helicopters are one thing because, those don't have a lot of distance and you have to hop one, then hop two. Once you get to like the regular Air Force and you get your Su-34s, maybe some Su-25s, maybe you consider those more disposable, more risk worthy. Where are they? Russia? Supposedly they're all around like here. So you can supposedly use them over here. And you've been occasionally using them. Actually, they should be closer because you've been occasionally using them here, actually, to bomb schools and hospitals in Kharkiv. So, some of them do exist at least, and they're actually probably more around here-ish. So, that's not too far. That's really not that far. You could make some runs. The Su-25 is supposed to be the Russian equivalent of the A-10 Warthog. So you can supposedly, now we need to get to the special video. The you can supposedly that's the still. Where's the video? It's probably, oh no, wait, it wasn't published till the next day, I don't think. Maybe. Yep, there it is. Okay. So we'll get that in a second. So, you know, the Su-25 is supposed to be the Russian equivalent of the A-10, so you could pull some of those over. The Ukrainian vehicles are frequently in a line just going down your highways. There's not even any civilians around, not like you care about them. You could, go down like an A-10 would and, do some gun runs and you could wipe out entire columns. Why aren't you? Either you're insanely incompetent and somehow can't manage the wherewithal to get any aircraft in the air, or you're a bit more up against the wall than you're making yourself out to be. Now, Russia has pulled in additional forces to try to actually stabilize the situation around here, which is, kind of the point, actually. If you're probably wondering, like, what is what would even the point of this be? For one, it's humiliation on a massive scale. For two, Russia has been ripping dudes out from here and vehicles and, rushing them up here, rushing everything they can up there ground force wise. They don't really seem to be moving air assets in all that much. I wonder why. It's almost like they don't have what they claim to have anymore. And they apparently either are so desperate to hold on to Donbass, those cornfields that they keep grabbing, that they don't want to pull too many guys out of there, or they, you know, can't really afford to, and so they've abandoned their, you know, Sahel allies down here, whom they were helping fight off the Islamic militant groups, because they pulled the Wagner dudes out of Africa and have rushed them up, over here, which kind of proves something interesting. You know, you have the wherewithal and apparently the personnel transport planes available to rapidly get dudes out of Africa and rush them up here. Yet for some reason, somehow you can't manage to get some attack helicopters to hop up over here, and you can't really spare the aircraft that are right here to just, peekaboo over here and drop some bombs or do a gun run. Interesting. So the whole force pull around or pull out is, I would say, most likely the actual aim. But I would expect someone, this is not originally my idea, someone else proposed this. I would expect, and this seems to be what they're doing, that Ukraine's not going to ignore an open door in this. In that, if everyone they encounter just keeps rolling over onto their back, they're probably going to keep rolling forward, and just carry it as far as it'll go. Someone has proposed the idea that I agree with, that they're probably, instead of constantly, launching strikes and like wiping out a few things at a time, that they're, if they can make it that far, they're probably just going to wrap around, like some air bases and or army bases here and there, and either jack the stuff and like fly it back to Ukraine, or in terms of ground vehicles, even easier to, jack the stuff and drive it back, if what Russia claims, still exists, or just, throw some C4 inside of everything and just blow everything to oblivion. And actually, also, they could punch some hurt around this area too, since both for domestic and exporting steel, Russia does use its own mined iron, most of which comes from this region. Some of the mining stuff you can actually see there, and some up here. And yeah, I think one down there in Belgorod too. So if they wanted to, they could actually also kind of like encircle the iron mines and, like blow up the equipment and sort of, and also just, even just, artillery hammer some of like the mining pit walls and cause like decent levels of collapse that would sort of have to be handled for a while before any iron could start coming out of them again. But they're, the one SU, or not SU, the one KA-52 was shot down by an actual anti-air missile. I'm pretty sure it was a Stinger again. But the Mi-28 was a more fascinating case, as it took a tail rotor hit from a suicide drone in a world first. So It went down a lot more gently than the Ka-52 did. Uh, Not that it's usable exactly, but it actually went down gently. So the pilots of the Mi-28 actually survived, as opposed to the pilots of the Ka-52, which is interesting because the Ka-52 is kind of hilarious. So uh, the Ka-52. Hold on, this does not. Blah 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 blah. Okay, no copyright. Wow, that is small. Okay, never mind. Let's get a better image. Give me something better. How about you? 1,000 by 688. Will you work? Let's see. Just how I can encrypt. What is with this? Show the image. What about you? Why are you all so tiny? Give me a real image. How about you? 8 by 100 by 500. That's probably going to be. Oh, we'll work with it. All right. So the Ka-52 supposedly uh, has an ejection system, but a lot of times the ejection process actually kills the pilots. So uh, Russian pilots have said before on Russian Telegram channels that because Ukrainian military personnel aren't the only ones constantly posting things and commenting stuff throughout everything. Uh, but Russian pilots have actually responded of the Ka-52 have responded to Russian questions about why a lot of them die so often and don't use the ejection system. And they've said themselves that they have a better chance of survival by trying to do a controlled crash of the helicopter as opposed to using the ejection system, because half the time it just kills the pilots that eject. So usually, effectively, Ka-52 pilots are kind of just doomed either way if they get hit. And other stuff has gone on other than just that. So as I encounter things as we're scrolling through, I will show some other stuff that happened. Like some anti-Putin Russian partisan groups have begun blowing up railways, detonating cutting charges on railways in various portions. Usually, it's just been around the Ukrainian border. This time, it was all the way up in the Leningrad region. T-90. Yeah, that one was one of the few Russian forces that tried to actually counterattack the counterattack. It didn't really work. Uh, some burning artillery and stuff. And oh wait, yeah, that's what we need to get to. Hold on. We need to go back over here. So, uh, all right, let's get this actually up. Come on, get us a full screen, or not full screen, but so these are the Russian reserves that have been pulled in. Now, it's not the best definition, but don't you dare copyright strike me. You got some regular SUVs, you got some trucks, some 1950s looking trucks, you got some regular trucks, some more 1950s looking trucks, Scooby Doo vans, pickup trucks, Jeeps, SUVs, Scooby Doo vans. And where's the next batch? Come on, you got some you gotta have some more military stuff in there, right? Maybe some more 1950s trucks. You got any tanks? Any BMPs? Any BDRMs? No? I kind of would have thought you wanted more military equipment. They did have some in this one, I think. Stop trying to copyright strike me. They had trucks. Uh, what's this? What do we got? Is it a tank? Is it a BMP? One tank. We got a tank. We got one tank. Yeah. One two. There we go. There we go. That was a BRM or a BDRM maybe. Okay, so we got a bunch of pickup trucks, a bunch of SUVs, some old 1950s supply trucks, one tank, one BDRM or whatever. We're doing it. Don't worry, guys. You're taking Kursk back. But I mean, don't worry. All those Jeeps and Scooby Doo vans carry the one thing that Russia brags about always having, which is disposable meat to throw at the enemy until the enemy runs out of ammo. Unless the enemy has a, you know, and yes, I am in a very memey mood today. So I do apologize, but unless the enemy has a Freedom Eagle sugar daddy that is effectively just dumping ammo on them, then you might have an issue with the whole make the enemy run out of ammo strategy. This is the Freedom Gundam, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Gundam Seed, which is the Freedom Gundam, just like, kind of devastates everything, which is kind of the point. Which, and it's called the Freedom Gundam, which I know it's a meme. I'm not actually like saying that. I'm not actually saying the U.S. fights for freedom. I'm just saying it's hysterical that they would call like the super like ultimate Giga Chad blast everything to oblivion Gundam, the Freedom Gundam. But your unlimited meat strategy isn't really going to cut it. You might want to try just having a military that doesn't suck. That's it's more difficult than it sounds, though. So it might not exactly go all that well. Normal, regular stuff. We need to go back, back over to the regular channel. This is no, this is still bookmarks. Uh, we go up. Oh no, this is going to be way. Yeah, I think this is too recent. Okay, that's too recent. So before the Kursk stuff started, there was like just regular, attack 'em strikes and things like that going on. Yeah, here is on the ground stuff for confirmation of the SU like 34 destruction. This is one of the wrecks there at that airbase that got the triple hit number of days back. There's one that's still kind of sitting, and actually the whole front of the nose is like off there. I don't know if they cut it or what. What's is this? This is just the base, I think. This is just parts of the base. Just yeah, just parts of the base. All right, that's just regular like buildings and stuff. There was also a massive. Was that no? That was frontline stuff. There was a hit on a different airbase. There was a hit on a different airbase. That was that. No, okay. This was an oil refinery thing way up in Comey. This was not a beaver drone strike. This was another example of just Russian oil and gas infrastructure falling apart. As every few weeks they're having a refinery like just randomly explode, or a factory of some kind just randomly explode. There was a massive strike, and there is video of the explosion. This is some of the video of the aftermath, or some pictures of the aftermath of that explosion. It was at a different airbase, one where a huge amount of munitions, a huge amount of bombs and stuff were being stored, and it was hit, and a lot of stuff was destroyed. And, some of the bombs apparently were so badly made that they didn't even detonate. So, interesting to note about the bomb quality in some instances. Oh, and those are, some missiles, obviously. I want to see if I can find the video of the actual explosion itself. Oh, wait, why am I there? It would be in bookmarks, obviously. That would be way, way better. I mean, I'll have to scroll down a lot in here too, but still could be, like 100 things to scroll through instead of like 500. Oh, and this one was a beaver drone strike on another oil and oil products depot. This time, a lot more caught on fire than normal. Where's the? Oh, for those who do not believe, they are actually there. Uh, Here we go. Here is stuff from the F-16s actually being in Ukraine, but that is secondary to everything that's going on at the moment. Where is the explosion? I know somebody did get it on film. Oh, another dam failure. That's the third one in like 2 weeks, I think. This time in Buryatia. So that's another one. It might have been a bit earlier. On it might have been earlier. In was this it? No, that was another oil depot strike. That was another oil depot strike. Oh, this was it. Okay, hold on. Let me mute my computer so that I don't hear the noise. But yeah, there was big boy boom when the bomb storage thing was hit. I think it was just the one hit. Oh, but there's the secondary stuff starting to go. And a lot of just ground stuff because this dude's running for his life, understandably. I would advise him or you if you're a soldier in any military listening and you think a giant munition storage that you work at or are standing next to is about to be struck by like an incoming missile. I would really advise you to like not stand that close to it if you want to film it blowing up. Please, for the sake of you not dying, you should be farther away. But yeah, boom, there we go. That was probably it. There's a still. There's a still from it, and there's a bunch of different other ones. All right, then we're gonna go up to where the stuff started. I think I still have some of the earlier maps. Yeah, there we go. All right, so at first it was just this, and everybody thought, and myself included, that they're just going for this railway here. They're probably just punching through to cut this railway or something. But then it kept going and going and going. It started with just the out branches, but then it expanded into this, and then this town up here in Kursk started reporting that the military units near them were getting hit by like artillery strikes, which would have meant that Ukrainian troops were like further up here when this map was published. And then, it went further up there. And then that's run. Then it expanded down here as well. And then it turns out they've gone basically all the way up there on the ground already. There's more of the surrendering stuff. There's the charge cutting. This was a Ka-52 that was used in Donbass that made it back. Uh, Not intact, but it did make it back. Where is the That one doesn't have, that one's like bad coloring. Hold on. The stupid key has detached from the keyboard and keeps jumping around everywhere. And yes, there has still been Israel, Lebanon, Iran stuff. I will talk about that later. Uh, yeah. So fighting ongoing, and that was 14 hours ago at the outskirts of Karanovo. There's another map. Hold on. Where's some of the bigger, more updated ones? This one, where, further pushing outward, and Russian telegrams were reporting fighting with the Ukrainian forces here. And then they reported stuff all the way up here. So clearly there's a massive arm thrust going this way. And then turned out, no, it's actually like ballooning all the way out through all of this. And then, you have the hilarious Scooby Doo van brigades arriving as backup. And I'm not saying this is happening. No one's actually saying this. This is just a meme before anyone says anything. But it is a Maxogy approved funny meme because it does make you wonder, you know, was this the secret counterattack plan all along? But anyways, and I think this is the most recent like high. Well, never mind. It's not high definition. It was supposed to be high definition. Rybar, a very, very uh, Z ultranationalist Russian Telegram channel, made this, and I would have appreciated it if you made it in high definition, bro. You know, I'm giving you like a shout out that I shouldn't be giving you, but here you are with this low res crap. But yeah, so this is the punch so far, and there appear to be multiple prawns going out in different directions, maybe even this one. So this is bigger and more expansive than even like the most hyped up people initially thought it was. So I'm really, really curious to see. And supposedly, Russians around here are panicking because there seems to be a lot of Ukrainian presence around like here and here. So they're thinking that Ukraine might like punch through here and like do a meetup and wrap around of this whole area. They could maybe. I don't know if that's actually the plan, but this is legitimately like a minute by minute thing. This is a lot of the stuff when I've like done, when I've been talking about active stuff and, occasionally I've checked for updates like while on stream. I would not be able to do that this time simply because like there are updates on this like every 30 seconds. So this is like a really rapid play out. And this was a tremendously excellent job on the part of everyone involved, Ukraine, and if any of us knew about it, uh, us being like any NATO plus friend group member, which probably yes, this was a fantastic job on keeping everyone's mouth shut about this, and kind of a slap to the face to anybody who was still running with the anything would get like entirely battle plan leaked beforehand narrative, because that is not what happened here. And apparently Ukraine was somehow able to like get all that force up here to then suddenly push into actual Russia without Russia like noticing or caring whatsoever. So that is now ongoing, and I will be constantly checking that on my own time at least. And we got about half an hour more until I said I was going to be done with this stream. Let me chug some water. And there is stuff in the Middle East, like I mentioned, so we'll get to that in a second. Oh, and before we do, and before I check chat like a responsible streamer, I have uh, started becoming even more cringe than I already was. So there are many cringe things about me you guys probably already know, but I did start making those my own versions of those astronaut meme things. So this one is for like all the Elon Musk tech pro dudes who are like legitimately thinking that he's gonna somehow like just pop out a warp drive and make his Mars empire, and everyone's gonna chop off all their appendages and get their bionic limbs, and everyone who somehow thinks that we're just going to like have infinite energy somehow. So this is my readjustment of that in this particular case. And I have several more of these on the way. And this is just a general, you know, shocked Pikachu face at the fact that resources are actually something that is finite. And yes, by all means, you can screenshot and steal those if you want or whatever. They're just memes, so I don't particularly care. Let me check here. Uh, we have your profile pic is just a black screen. We have 9 people. We had 16 at one point. Where are all the regulars? All my regulars have been gone. And Josh is still dead, apparently. I mean, they are tired. Public opinion from Russian polling itself, not from outside sources, but from Russian polling, did show over the last 6 months or so the amount of Russians, which was pretty consistent at around like 25, maybe 30% since the start of the war, the amount of Russians who answered with Putin should just like call it off. That this has been enough. He's proved whatever point he's trying to prove or whatever. That was around like 30% at the start. Over the last 6 months, it has shot up drastically to 58%. Now, uh, the percentage that view like Putin and this whole nonsense as like a bad thing, a bad guy, and like an actual like bad thing to begin with, has only moved up from like around 25% to about 35%. But twice, so that is like half of the please stop group, but another half that even is part of like the Z pro Putin, Putin is the good guy here group, still also actually like is saying Putin should just call it quits now. So even those that are like Z like ultra nationalists or whatever also now kind of think it's time to stop. It's you prove your masculinity or whatever. But he's not going to, because that's not how narcissism works. With the whole actual clinical narcissism thing, the person is incapable, like in the same way you or most people do, have this that feeling of inhibition will rapidly rise inside you, like some kind of bubble under pressure trying to escape to the surface. You'll feel that inside you if you, in most cases, like try to harm yourself. For most people, that's why most people can't rip the band-aid off. Literally, like talking about an actual like bandage. So that same type of inhibition or like mental block, a clinical narcissist has that in their mind about the like the concept that they were wrong about something. And I don't mean morally wrong or only morally wrong, but like just wrong in general. Like they made a mistake. Like they horrendously miscalculated. In this case, the strength of their supposed superpower military. The idea that they were incorrect. The idea that this has like all gone wrong, and you know stopping would probably be the better decision is not something that computes. That's not like a wave off or an excuse for the decision, but it is like an actual thing that is at play, which just makes the situation worse because from that you can deduce that it's not stopping until either he's dead, uh, one way or another. I was about to say either he's dead or he's killed. Those are the same thing, obviously. But when I was going to say he's dead, I meant like he dies from Parkinson's or whatever secret disease he keeps hiding, or he gets like outed, or the military physically cannot continue and decides to stop on their own. So uh, Israel has continued massive daily bombings across the south of Lebanon, intensifying the strikes and the heaviness, the degree of munitions that are being used in preparation for their whole upcoming Lebanon misadventure. Uh, United is the latest one in airlines. Not that anybody likes them anyways, but uh, go with Delta if you can. Delta is my favorite. Max Ogier approved. But United is the latest one, adding themselves to the list of airlines that are suspending flights basically to the entire area. They're not going to Lebanon. I don't think they in particular actually go to Lebanon, but others like Turkish Airlines and stuff that actually like fly into Lebanon and whatever. Uh, Airlines one after another for both Lebanon and Israel, and some even for Jordan, just like the general area. Airlines one after another are now moving over to, as you saw from the language, an indefinite extension of their flight cancellations. So their thing initially was, I think, like we're going to cancel for 2 weeks, and just see if it calms down, maybe. But now they've decided, no, we're just going to cancel everything indefinitely, and if it ever actually does calm back down, we'll resume flights. So everybody is everybody's pulling out and just kind of throwing their hands up and saying all right, it's gonna turn to volcanic ash or whatever, then so be it. We're out. They've continued those strikes, and some in Syria as well, as they before they do stuff, and in case or in the inevitable likelihood, really, that they actually go to full air campaign blows against Iran. They do not want Syria doing even the slightest like stone's throw of interference. So they've started bombing more stuff in Syria, like actual Syrian army military bases. This was the latest one. This big boom right here off in the distance, which was a storage site for munitions and stuff. Whether just like I don't know artillery shells or anti-air munitions, or it also held like Syrian Air Force stuff, which Syria doesn't really have an Air Force anymore, so it was probably just artillery and anti-air stuff. Unless the Russian Air Force had some of its Syrian based stuff over there, and Israel actually bombed the Russian Air Force, that would be hilarious. But all right, no, that's the top. So we go down for what was some of the other stuff. Actually, hold on, I have my notes next to me. Uh no, okay. I kind of stopped taking notes because the Kursk stuff started happening. Uh, so so intelligence and like surveillance has seen Iran moving a bunch of stuff into potential positions to launch their like major ballistic missile retaliation wave, but not like everything that they would expect. So this was sort of this was from last night and was basically a dashboard notice of it's not happening tonight because it was already night and like not all of the stuff they would need was like out and ready. So clearly it wasn't going to be last night, and obviously it wasn't because it didn't happen. But could it be tonight? I don't know. Uh, 3 p.m. Alaska time, even though I'm unfortunately far, far from Alaska. Uh, 3 p.m. Alaska time, so that's about 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. in Middle East time. So if it was going to happen, it probably would have happened by now tonight. Let me see. Blah, blah, blah. No. Okay. Nope. This would be spammed with nothing but rocket launch images if that was the case. So evidently not tonight. Some people have suggested that Iran might be waiting until the 13th of this month, the 12th or the 13th, because that would be the like anniversary of both times that Jerusalem fell to the Babylonians and then to the Romans. So they might be waiting for that because everybody in the region, I guess, is really obsessed with doing stuff in enormously telegraphed ways on specific dates, which is, getting into, kind of like woo astrology, numerology territory, which if you actually do believe in God and you actually like read the Word of God, uh, whichever, uh, even if you only consider certain portions of it to be the Word of God, even like the smallest portions, that are held by like the smallest sects, saying like only these 5 books of the Bible or only this part of the Quran is relevant. Even like those smallest portions, like God explicitly warns you against falling into astrology and like numerology and other like stuff that goes into like psychic witches territory. But you know, everybody here, despite being really religious, like also still does that anyways, which is fascinating. You're kind of specifically warned against that. But then again, you're kind of also specifically, we were kind of also specifically warned against, like not mass murdering people either, or just regular murdering people. But no one seems to like follow that. No one seems to follow that law either. This was more strikes in Lebanon. This each of these uh, was primarily targeting town outskirts stuff where they believed Hezbollah had like rockets and stuff stored. In one of these cases, I think it was this one that was up on the hills. Now that one, because that one you can still see like the fire and secondary stuff going off. So I think it might have been this one then, because there was like no real like dreamer stuff left over. This one ended up being like not actually turning out to be the case. It ended up just being empty. So, not all of the like Mossad intel on where Hezbollah has like all the rockets like stored and stuff. Not all of it is actually like 100% on point. Iran also called this special grand Muslim meeting or something in Saudi Arabia, like summoned all Islamic nations. Not all of them turned up, but summoned them to listen to them give a like fiery speech where they basically just justified themselves. Like I really don't. I'm not sure what the goal was. Like to, you've done this. You've done these kinds of like ballistic missile waves before. You never called grand like Islamic councils to like try to justify yourself about it. I'm not sure what your angle is here. Unless this was like unless this was legitimately some like really ill-informed attempt to like try to get everybody like to join them or something, which was not that was not ever going to happen. So that one, I'm a bit out of it on what they were like aiming to do with that, but it was a thing that happened. Do we have anything else? Uh, blah blah blah. Just preparations and coordination stuff. Oh, uh, I forgot we passed this by earlier. The excessive heat warning for like 110 degrees Fahrenheit stuff in portions of north central Iran. So that was shutting down a bunch of things as uh, they, have the whole gas supply issue, which kind of gives them an electricity supply issue. So the heightened electricity demand from extremely high temperatures would have crashed at least that localized area's grid if all those businesses and banks and stuff had stayed open. So a lot of those things are closed because of the current extreme temperatures. As they, you know, not exactly like caring about all that much about like keeping the people from dropping dead from heat stroke, but they are caring about the public image of if they had actually let their power grid collapse. And I think this was one of the last ones. Oh yeah, and some countries, Canada one, are actually even beginning to evacuate their embassies and consulates, not just in Lebanon, but now in Israel as well. So embassies and consulates in Israel are now also starting to be emptied and evacuated. So everybody is legitimately thinking that it's coming and kind of wants to get out of the way beforehand. I think that's about it. There was a suicide drone strike in the middle of an intersection. I'm not going to play the video because, if I remember correctly, people do die in that video. There is there was a suicide drone strike that got past via the Coyote systems at one U.S. base and injured seven personnel. Uh, the five of which are back to regular active duty. Two of which had to be actually evacuated to military hospitals, and now also, oh yeah, this one last thing. So no one's really been paying attention to it, but uh, Bangladesh has kind of imploded over the last 2 weeks. So there started to be some protests in Bangladesh, student-led protests. They were against various governments, just general abject failure, and also new policies that were being implemented that were going to apparently get this publicly. Like they just straight up, no shame, admitted it. They were going to apparently, set quotas for like universities and for businesses and industries, like hiring quotas and student admission quotas to have a minimum like they would have to meet a minimum threshold percentage of of their admitted students or their employees would have to be uh, like relatives or children or nephews or whatever of government members or former government employees. Like they just straight up publicly did this, like shameless, no like no ability to look in the mirror, and just said, yeah, we're instituting a new policy and it's going to be totally, government deference and government officials. We're just actually, instead of taking some money and embezzling it behind the scenes, we're just going to like restructure the country, like on the actual like governing constitution or whatever itself. We're just going to like fully rearrange it and say straight out that we get special benefits. So now you're going to find this surprising, but that pissed off basically the entire population of the country. And so they started protesting, and protesting turned into an uprising, basically. And they started burning stuff down. And eventually they overran the Bangladesh uh, White House equivalent or whatever, and ousted the prime minister. And so she and her like cabinet members and associated governments have now fled the country. So that happened in the course of 2 weeks. For those of you who want to stay in like the camp of things will never really happen, uh, things the way things work is that they don't happen until they suddenly, abruptly, and catastrophically do. So that was like 2 weeks. So there goes Bangladesh. No idea what's going to be going on there now. They kind of have to reform like a proper government and have like a new cabinet and new like prime minister set up and everything. And also now a lot of the former like protesting, now that it's just been left in chaos and no one is really answering the problems, now it's kind of turning into like more rampant destruction. So it's kind of down spiraling over there. So that's a thing that can happen. But for anyone who thinks like it won't matter like how hard or how harsh like the government in Tehran like super cracks down on everyone in Iran. It won't matter how much like damage and breakdown Iran suffers as like the oil and the gas system fails. The people are never going to actually do anything. Uh, you know they, they can, and they eventually will. Like this. Originally, this was just mass protesting just 2 weeks ago, just like the 2022 stuff in Iran. So that stuff can, on the flip of a coin, it can just tip over a given bell curve or whatever, and just ride the slide downwards into a full actual like uprising and government overthrow. There's an insanely like million bajillion amount of like internal factors that all have this like three-dimensional web of like playing off of each other that no one can really actually entirely ever calculate in any like one country's given case of whether it will actually Rubik's cube itself into this direction or that direction. You can at like any particular instance, like you can see the general direction that it's going. Like you can know in Iran's case that this is going to happen eventually, and probably sooner than later. Like sooner than 2050, for example. But you can never really jump off of one thing and like be able to tell that that's going to like spring directly into this. But Bangladesh for the moment is gone. Bangladesh for the moment is in the abyss. but they are likely to come back out of the abyss in some form relatively soon. Whereas, you have countries that are going to be staying in the abyss pretty permanently, like, fun old Afghanistan here, everybody's favorite vacation zone. Was in the abyss before, uh, stayed in the abyss, through my childhood, came out of the abyss for like 2 seconds in like the early 2010s, and then it's right back in the abyss. And then after the Taliban re-seizure, now it's like full blown abyss. And there's some, but Bangladesh will probably spring back out of the abyss relatively soon, like Sri Lanka did. Sri Lanka was in the abyss for like 2 solid months though, when they collapsed back in 2021 or 2020. I don't recall which one specifically. Somalia is out of the abyss now though. They were in the abyss for a good 3 decades straight, but they are out now. They're not very high up on like the you know development or income ladder, but they're no longer drifting around in the abyss. All right, that's probably going to be it for this one. Is anybody else there? Wow, we got Josh. We got Josh, everybody, at the very end of the stream. All right. Uh, so unless anybody else had questions or things or super chats to send or whatever, I will be signing off otherwise, but I'll wait 30 seconds because that's the delay time or whatever, and we'll end on the freedom, Giga Chad blast away meme. Well, now that Josh is here, I actually have someone who is familiar with Gundam Seed. It's the Freedom Gundam. What does the scouter say about its power level? All right, looks like that is it. So I will see everybody around next time.